Hey guys, if you've been following the news, all of the headlines about the conditions in the current housing market may leave you with more questions than answers. It certainly has for me. Is the bottom over? Is the market crashing or correcting? Well, here's what you need to know. The housing market is moderating compared to the last 2 years. But what everyone needs to remember is that the past 2 years were record-breaking in nearly every single way. Record low mortgage rates and millennials reaching peak home buying years led to an influx of buyer demand. But at the same time, there weren't enough homes available to purchase thanks to the many years of underbuilding and sellers who held off on listing their homes due to the health crisis. This combination led to a record high demand and record low supply, and that wasn't going to be sustainable for the long term. The latest data shows early signs of a shift back to the market pace seen in years leading up to the pandemic. So it's not a crash or correction. As Realtor.com says, quote, "The housing market is at a turning point. We're starting to see signs of a new direction," end quote. The showing time showing index tracks the traffic of home showings according to agents and brokers. It's a good indication of buyer demand. Here's a look at the data going back to 2019. Take a look at the graph. The 2019 numbers give a good baseline of pre-pandemic demand. It's shown in gray. As the graph indicates, home showings skyrocketed during the pandemic, which is shown in blue. And while current buyer demand has begun to moderate slightly based on the latest data shown in green, showings are still above 2019 levels. And since 2019 was such a strong year for the housing market, this helps show that the market isn't crashing. It's just a turning point that's moving back towards more pre-pandemic levels. Headlines are also talking about how existing home sales are declining, but perspective matters. Here's a look at the existing home sales going all the way back to 2019 using data from the National Association of Realtors. Take a look at the graph. Again, it's a similar story emerges. The pandemic numbers, which is shown in blue, beat the more typical years of 2019 home sales, which is shown in gray. And according to the latest projections for 2022, which is shown in green, the market is on pace to close this year with more home sales than 2019 as well. So it's important to compare today not to the abnormal pandemic years, but to the most recent years to show the current housing market is still strong. First American sums it up like this, quote, "Today's housing market looks a lot like 2019 housing market, which was the strongest housing market in a decade at a time," end quote. So, bottom line, guys, if recent headlines are generating any concerns, look at the more typical years for perspective. The current market is not a crash or correction. It's just a turning point, more towards the typical pre-pandemic levels. Well, I hope you found this information useful, so please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos that I put out in the future. And also, don't forget to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.